So again, we're super excited about the metaverse. We're just getting started on the advantages that EXP gets by operating this. What we've done the last 10 years is nothing compared to what's coming ahead in the next 10 years. And we're continuing to innovate in the ways I just showed, but also with a new product that allows us to see what's possible entirely on the web without a client download. And to tell you more about that, I'm going to pull out my colleague, the VP of Frame, Gabe Baker. Gabe.
Howdy.
There's the man. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
So, what is Frame? I've been hearing all this buzz. I see some T-shirts in the center. What's Frame?
I know there's been some mystery. Some of you've seen the logo on the big balloon. You've seen the T-shirt at the brand store. I know some of you, though, dropped by my breakout session. Frame is a metaverse product that runs entirely from the web browser on desktop, mobile, and VR.
So why would we pursue something like this?
Well, for starters, we're always trying to push the limits to see what we can achieve in the world of metaverse tech. EXP World, as you all know, is incredibly powerful. One of the reasons it can be that powerful is because it's an app. But we know there's some friction with the download and the install. So I came to Alex a few years ago, and I said, Alex, I think we can do some stuff on the web. Let's see what we can do. And just really thanks to you that you've kind of helped me nurture this thing to get it to where it is now, which it was an experiment, and now it's actually a product that is live to the world in beta today.
All right. Is it something we can take a look at?
Well.
Or does it still look like this?
So this was one of the very early iterations of Frame. I promise you, it doesn't look like this now. I want to show you a video to give you an update about what Frame is looking like these days.
Thanks, Gabe.
Thanks, Alex. All right. So I hope you're excited. I know I'm excited. Frame is a highly customizable but accessible metaverse platform. And as I said, it runs right from the web on desktop, mobile, and VR. Anyone have an Oculus Quest 2 out there? Amazing. All you have to do is pull up the browser application on the Oculus, and you can navigate right to a Frame URL and enter it in full immersive mode. And if you're in there with others, you'll have tracked hands. You can wave to them. You can point things out. Super immersive and super powerful. Now, I want you to take two things away from this session. One is I want you to really have a deep understanding of what this thing is and why you should be really excited about it. The second thing is I want you to be so excited by this thing that you're actually motivated to create your own Frame yourself, which is something that you can do whenever you'd like. There's a link up there, which is the site you'll go to. Don't go there now, because you'll find yourself playing in the metaverse on your phone while I'm trying to get you to pay attention to me. But take a note of it if you need, pen and paper or your notes app, learn.framevr.io. And in just a few clicks, you'll have your own unique link that is your destination in the metaverse that you can share with anyone in the world. And they'll be able to join you in there with you in just a click from desktop, mobile, and VR. So let me talk a little bit about the journey so far from where Frame started, those goofy-looking avatars that you saw in that screenshot, to where it is right now if you go on the website and make a Frame yourself. When Frame started, it could support 4 people at once inside of a Frame. Now you can have 100 people at once inside of a single Frame. And if everyone's on desktop, you can even do 150. When Frame started, you could bring 3 different kinds of assets into your Frame. You could bring in images. You could bring in videos. Now you can bring 20 different kinds of assets into your Frame. These could be 360-degree photos of properties that you're trying to sell. You can bring them right into Frame and look at them with people in your Frame. You can bring in 3D models right into your Frame. This could be a 3D model of a property that isn't yet built that you're trying to sell. Maybe you have a floor plan. You can bring it right in, drag and drop. You can bring in a web browser, a fully featured web browser right inside of the metaverse that you can browse with other people. You can really bring in tons of stuff. And these can be playful, too. You can bring in snow. You can bring in playful things like that. And you can launch emojis out of your avatar, which is as good as it sounds. It's the kind of thing you do it, and then in meetings, you'll find people just spraying each other with emojis. In the beginning, it worked on desktop, but now it also works on mobile and VR. And this is really the power of the web, right? Every phone, it has a web browser. Even the Oculus Quest, it's got a browser. When we first launched Frame, it took us 2 months to get to our first 1,000 frames created. Each frame is its own unique destination in the metaverse that someone creates. Now we have days where 1,000 frames will get created in a single day. Yesterday, there were 1,200 frames created yesterday alone, right? This is really cool stuff. We went from 50 connections to Frame a day. Now we get 5,000 connections to Frame a day, at least. This went from scribbles of code in a Google Doc of mine to being a product presented by the CTO of Microsoft at Microsoft Build just a few weeks ago, their premier development conference. That's right. This is really astonishing stuff. Thank you. And I want to say a few words about this, because this was such a highlight of my year so far. So the CTO of Microsoft, Kevin Scott, introduced Frame at Microsoft Build. We did a little integration with an artificial intelligence tool from Microsoft. And the demo they showed off, it was like something out of Star Trek. Like you wouldn't believe that this technology even existed now. And what it was I was able to meet inside of Frame with a colleague, and we were able to just talk what we wanted to see in the metaverse around us, and the artificial intelligence tool would create it. We did a demo, that screenshot there looks like it's on the moon. We met on the moon, and I was able to say something like, bring in a 3D model of the Earth and move it up 20 meters and make it spin. And the AI bot would just do that. It was a really astonishing demo. And you can see this for yourself. If you check out our blog, we have a blog post about this. Just go to learn.framevr.io/blog, and you just have to see this video, I'm telling you. We also launched a Frame app for Microsoft Teams. So this lets you really bring a metaverse into your Teams build with just a click. You install the Frame app, and all of a sudden, each of your channels in Teams has its own 3D space that team can meet inside of. So a really cool little integration that demonstrates the power and flexibility of what we're building here. We actually build Frame itself with Microsoft technology. They make a web development framework that we use to build Frame. No one would have thought 10 years ago that you would be building the metaverse with HTML and JavaScript, but that's exactly what we're doing. We're building Frame with regular web technology, making something that can be accessed right from the browser. So let's step down from the moon for a little bit and actually just talk about how people are using Frame today. So a lot of people use Frame for online events. These range from academic conferences to panels to discussions of all kinds. A lot of our users are teachers in the education space. They're using Frame for fully online virtual classes where people are sick of Zoom, and a teacher might want a real sense of shared space and presence with their students. A lot of people use Frame as a virtual office and meeting space. COVID has really changed the landscape of work and remote work. A lot of companies are returning to the office, but many are not, and they are looking for tools that give their team that sense of shared space and presence together. And then finally, marketing. Because Frame is so customizable, you can really set up your Frame to look precisely how you want. There are marketing agencies that use Frame as a tool to create digital experiences for their clients. So if you think about a lot of these marketing agencies, they're often creating websites for their clients and things like that. Now clients are coming to them saying, well, we want something in the metaverse. And those marketing agencies are able to use Frame to create those experiences for their clients. And that really shows how easy to use this thing is. And I want to kind of hone in on this a little bit because it's actually so important for our vision of what Frame can be. Some of you maybe have heard of tools like Squarespace, Wix, WordPress, Webflow. People know of those things out there, right? Because they're so big. They're ubiquitous now in the market. These are tools that made it easy for no-code creatives to make very sophisticated websites. That's what Frame does for the metaverse. This is a tool that a no-code creative can use to build really compelling, really sophisticated metaverse experiences without writing a line of code. Now, you might be thinking, well, Gabe, this sounds great, but there's no way, maybe you're biting off more than you can chew here. Now, if it were just me, I'd agree with you. But the reality is the Frame team is a team of developers and designers that I think, without a doubt, we are one of the best 3D on the web development teams in the world. And we're here at EXP. I'm really proud of the team. And to speak to their skills, let's look at some of the features that they have recently cooked up for Frame. So there's a new feature that lets you generate an avatar just by taking a photo of yourself. And we will then create an avatar for you based on that photo. Now, you might notice the avatars in Frame are a little bit simplified. They're just these head and torso avatars. That's because to make Frame run well on the web, we have to make sacrifices like this. That said, we are working on our own full-body animated avatars, and I hope to have some updates about those for you at EXPCon in a few months. Another very cool feature is called connections. If you think about a LinkedIn connection request or a Facebook friend request, it's kind of like that, but for the metaverse. You can connect with someone in your Frame, and then you'll be able to see if they're online in the metaverse somewhere else. Maybe they're in some other Frame, and you can just jump right to them. You can move from one Frame to another Frame without even reloading a new website. So connections is very cool. It adds this kind of social fabric to Frame. We have a feature that is another one of these features that is like out of Star Trek called Maps that lets you search for anywhere in the world, and we'll pull up a map of that place underneath you. And if that place has mountains, we actually show those mountains as 3D terrain. And this is a neat feature because let's say you are meeting with an out-of-towner who is looking for a home in a city. You could actually meet with them in Frame, pull up that city with the Maps feature, and then kind of roam around the city with them, pointing out landmarks, looking at terrain, things like that. And then when you want to hone in on a particular property, well, you could pop up a 360 photo from within a house and actually look at it. So it gives you that bird's eye view of the place, and then lets you hone right into a 360 photo. I mentioned this web browser. You can bring in a fully featured web browser right into Frame. We also have streaming screens to let you share your webcam and share your screen. You can bring in as many of these as you want. You could bring in 10 streaming screens, put them up on a wall. I've seen Glenn has made like a war room, workroom for his team where he's got 10 streaming screens up on a wall. A team of 10 can be in there with everyone streaming their screen, looking at each other as they're working and seeing the work that's taking place. I mentioned support for 150 in a Frame at once. And we're working on a concept, I'm going a little bit off script here, but we're working on a concept called the infinitely scalable event, which will let you send a link out to as many people as you want in the world, and they'd actually be able to join you for an event, no matter how big the event is. And then finally, we've made a little version of Frame called exp.world, which is just a little experimental version of Frame that some teams within EXP staff are starting to try out just to start giving us really close feedback about the tool. We're excited about that too. So what is the monetization plan with Frame? I hope you all are convinced, by the way, of the incredible potential of what we're making here. Right? This is really, really cool stuff. So how are we going to make money from this? Because my mission isn't just to make a cool toy that we can play with and looks neat. I really see this as driving the bottom line of EXPI. So the first step, I think, is let's really cultivate a massive, happy user base. Leverage the network effects of the web. Right? Because Frame is so easy to share, you're just sharing a link. It's so easy to bring people into a meeting. If you have a meeting of 20, our hope is that 1 or 2 of those people will create Frames themselves and sign up themselves and then have their own meetings. And that's a cycle that can be very powerful when you've got something that's so low friction and easy to access as Frame. We're experimenting now with the freemium SaaS model. where if you want more frames than 3, or if you want a frame that can have more people inside of it, you can start paying us. And these plans are actually really cheap. They start at $50 a month, and then we have a few that are more expensive. Now, for those clients that want something really special, like a deployment on a custom URL, or maybe they want to replace our logo with their logo, what we call white labeling, we do that for $100,000 per year per client. And we already have a few of those on the books. And then finally, we envision a marketplace where people can sell 3D models, 360 photos, 3D environments, kind of templates. Just like when you go to Squarespace or Wix, you can buy these templates, these like pre-designed websites that you can use as the starting point for your own website. We envision a marketplace where people do that same kind of activity for Frame, letting us generate revenue from a creator economy in addition to the freemium SaaS play. And I think there's a lot of potential there with this creator marketplace. OK. Let's loop back to my early goal that I mentioned for my session here, the second one, which was getting you all fired up about Frame enough to where you might be willing to go home and even create one yourself. How did I do on that? Anyone here going to go and create a frame? Yep. Good. I really hope that you do. We are leaving beta before too long. More updates to come, I'm sure, at EXPCon. In the meantime, if you have any questions about Frame, don't be afraid to email me directly. I'm Gabe at framevr.io. We're on Twitter at frame_VR. I'm often posting sneak peeks at features to come on my own Twitter. I'm at Gabriel J. Baker. Please make a frame. Follow us along on this journey. We have a lot to be excited about here. Thank you.